You're listening to Filter Free America.
Well, Filter Free America is where I wanna be. Driving on the shining black shores of oil-soaked Lady Liberty, with justice not just blind, but deaf, dumb, and unkind. Thank God I'm filter free. It's Filter Free America.
Motherfucker!
Hello, Filter Free America listeners. Welcome back once again to the Filter Free America podcast. And I know I've said it many times, but it still stands true to today. I am so very happy that you continue to choose to join me right here on the Filter Free America podcast. All right, let's talk about this episode. To start, while the name Filter Free America should imply that the content within is filterless, and you as a listener assume a degree of responsibility when you push play for what you're about to hear. That said, from time to time, I put out an episode that I feel requires some additional caution. So here it is. This episode that you've pushed play on right now, that you are listening to at this very moment, is all about shit. Yes, literal shit. Poo, crap, turds, defecation, excrement, fecal matter, stool, dung, feces. Yes, this episode is a fun episode simply about poop. Poop stories, poop facts, poop news, poop art, and much more poop-related shit. Oftentimes, you will find very serious topics on this podcast, topics that are emotional looks at the human condition, but trust me, absolutely trust me, this is not one of them. Just about poop. That's all it is. It's a poop episode. Now, why would I make a poop episode, you might be asking, right? I'm sure you're all asking that. And here's the deal. I find childish poop humor hilarious. And the act of pooping is, of course, a human common ground. No matter if you're rich or poor, no matter your race, sexual orientation, religion, or political ideology, we all poop. So with that, I feel this episode is one we can all relate to, no matter where we come from, right? Because we all poop. We can't run from it. We can't hide from it. We all poop. So with that thorough disclaimer put out, prepare yourself for this poop-coated episode. It's drenched in poop, literally just drenched, covered, smothered. That's a good descriptive term, smothered in poop. Now, quickly, let me mention the sponsor of the Filter Free America podcast, and that is simplewebsite.us. Simplewebsite.us. Those are the good people that you turn to if you need help building a website using the Squarespace website builder. That's right. That is what they do. They have expert website designers who have maximized every angle of the Squarespace website builder, and they want to help you build the best possible website you can build using Squarespace. Even if you've already built a website, they want to help you improve that website. Or even if you just have like one or two things that you want to fix, they want to help you do that too. So please go to simplewebsite.us. Simplewebsite.us, simplewebsite.us. Tell them that Joey from the Filter Free America podcast sent you, and let them help you build an excellent website. Matter of fact, if you would like to see a website that they have built, please go to filterfreeamerica.com, filterfreeamerica.com, America, always intentionally misspelled, the letter K.com, and you will see the website that simplewebsite.us has built and continues to maintain for me to this day. Check them out. Also, while we're talking about stuff, please take time to make sure you're subscribed to the Filter Free America podcast. You're listening to it now. Maybe you push play on accident. Maybe you didn't mean to play this podcast, but you're checking it out. Go ahead and subscribe right now. Also, once you subscribe, please take time to rate and review the Filter Free America podcast, especially if you listen using iTunes or Apple Podcasts. All right, now we need to kick this episode off. And before we do that, we have to name the episode. And I put a lot of thought into naming this episode. And you must, whenever you tackle a subject like poop, you've got to make sure that you give it a very good title. And so we're going to call this episode simply The Poop Episode. Do you like that one? The Poop Episode? That is exactly what this episode is about. It's a poop episode, so we're calling it The Poop Episode. All right, let's kick it off. So here we go. The Poop Episode, right here on Filter Free America. Let's go.
First things first. Where's your shitter? I've got a turtle head poking out. Oh my God!
Hot! I'm bleeding!
Oh, dear God, that's wretched.
You been eating corn, huh?
Did you just soil yourself?
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 45 minutes.
Well, you're really doing it, aren't you? You're shitting in the street.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
Damn! You stink my bathroom shit!
Someone broke the toilet.
So let me kick this off first with a short poop-related story from my life. This is one of two that I'll share. I'm sure I've told this one before, but for the uninitiated, here we go. I was, I think, somewhere in the window of 4 to 6 years. I'm pretty sure it was closer to 4 to 6, but it was a while ago, obviously. At that time, one of my favorite toys were these little things called Weeble Wobbles. Do any of you remember what those were?
Hey, hey, look at me and Weeble. The Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Romperoo makes Weeble toys.
To describe them to you, they were these small plastic figures, and they were egg-shaped, and it was like clear plastic over like printed plastic, and inside, and when you look through the clear part, you could see what looked like a figure, but it was just an egg-shaped figure. I don't know if I can describe with any more detail than that. You might have to look it up if you want to get the visual of it. Now, again, I got to tell you, I really love this toy. I don't know why I was so infatuated with these toys, but I did. And I love these toys so much that I would tote one of the egg-shaped figures around with me and put it in my mouth sometimes. Long story short, one day I had the Weeble Wobble figure in my mouth and I swallowed it. Yes, I swallowed an egg-shaped figure down my throat. Well, my body did what the body does, and it passed the Weeble Wobble through my system, and eventually I went to poop. And yes, it was a painful poop, mainly because my 4-year-old butthole wasn't ready to pass a plastic egg figure. I don't know if it's changed at all now, but possibly. But eventually I did get it pushed out, and the little Weeble Wobble, covered in poop, was expelled from my asshole into the toilet. But the story doesn't end there, because as I mentioned in the beginning, I loved Weeble Wobble toys. So much so that I cried at the sight of the poo-coated toy, and I cried long enough that my grandmother came to my rescue. My grandmother used one of her soup ladles to rescue my poopy Weeble out of the toilet. She then cleaned off the shit, and I assumed disinfected it. At least I hope she disinfected it, because I had it back on my mouth by the end of the next day. Now let's listen to the first of 2 mini interviews of this episode. In this one, I talk with comedian Josh Florhaug. If you're a regular listener and you remember that name, Josh was the guest on the episode titled My Comedy Life in LA. Josh moved from here in Minnesota to pursue comedy in Los Angeles, and we go into great detail about that. And we also talk about his uncle, who happens to be the very famous comedian Louis Anderson. So if you like Josh and this poop story, go check out that episode of the podcast as well, too. But for now, here is Josh telling me about his airport-related poop story. All right, Josh, give me your poop story.
I have so many because I have IBS, so I'll just give you.
What is
my favorite.
IBS? It sounds like IBM, but different.
Yeah, it's like computers, except for you always have to poop.
Did Nazis also come up with that?
Yes.
They
probably it's probably a war thing. It's irritable bowel syndrome, so I poop like 5 times a day. Jesus. And then sometimes it's like an emergency.
To this day, 5 times a day.
To this time, like around 5 times a day.
Well, we have to stop this podcast midway.
I mean, I hope not. I pooped twice today already.
Jesus Christ!
In case you're wondering, it's 9 a.m.
Is it just before we do your story? We gotta analyze your poop now. Does it amount of food?
I mean, it's probably the quality of food that I eat, because I eat like a garbage monster. But
okay. But if you eat less food, do you poop less? Are you still...
Yeah, I poop less. I still have to poop all the time, but like it just less comes out.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, Joe, because we're good friends. I've shit my pants more in my 20s and 30s than I did probably all 15 years of school.
What is the consistency of your poop?
I take stool softeners, so it's like...
What?
Yeah.
What are you, 80?
Yeah. Oh, the amount
Have you ever heard of a prune, motherfucker?
the amount of medication I take is great.
So, it's medication
induced. I have IBS, and then I also have diverticulitis, which is I have intestinal flare-ups and things like that.
Okay, so is your poop kind of like people who pop pills and do a lot of like opioids? Their poop they get constipated?
No, my poop's like soft serve ice cream. My poop's like a buffet chocolate soft serve.
Jesus
at all times. That's why I can't be into ass play, because there's too much going on back there. That like if I was into ass play,
you can only be into a certain kind of ass play. People who are really into ass play / poop play.
That's why I could never be a bottom, no matter what.
It'd be 2 dudes, 1 bucket.
It would be 2 dudes, 1 very sad, and then me apologizing a bunch. I'd be like, I didn't know. I only pooped 3 times today. Sorry.
There's a niche of people who enjoy that.
There is. They're
smeared on them.
They're not anybody I want to hang out with.
Holy shit. Okay, fair enough.
So since we're here on Filter Free America, this one involves the police.
Right, good.
And almost an international incident, I guess. It involved federal agents.
This is good.
So my poop story is I used to work at the airport in Minneapolis. I used to work at MSP. I was a bartender at one of the bars. And through working at the airport, you have to go through security every day. I'd just gotten a little piece of my intestine removed because of my diverticulitis. I had some problems. And it was my first week back to work.
Did I overlook? Tell me again what that is. The intesticulitis, and why did you have to have that removed?
It's like
explain what the condition is.
It's like I have intestinal flare-ups. My intestines just don't process stuff right.
Is that just because you're broken?
Yeah, I'm broken. I have an 80-year-old body. My body is just a real gross.
It's because it can never be fixed? Or
I mean, they part my intestine to make things a little better.
Okay.
Part of my colon and stuff like that.
So you've got less...
I have less of a track for the poop to go now.
Okay.
It's kind of like a bypass lane now.
Really?
Yeah.
Do we know how much shorter it is?
It's a couple inches.
Oh, okay. That doesn't seem like a lot, because like intestines are...
Yeah, like 3 feet.
Okay.
They took a couple inches off. No big deal.
Right. Technically, you've lost weight.
Yeah.
That's good.
I know. Don't worry, I put it all back on.
Every time I get an organ removed, I think the same thing. It's like, appendix, I've lost like a fraction of a pound now.
Yeah.
This is good.
Then you put it back on because you eat a bunch of sandwiches. Right. Because you're sad because you got a surgery.
Yeah, that's it.
So what had happened was I was working at the airport. I was in line to go through security, and I had just gotten new guts, so I was still trying to figure out how they worked and how long of a fuse I had between pooping. And I found out because I was 4 people from getting through security.
Right.
And it's all employees, so it's all quick. You're just scanning your badge and then going through. About 3 people before, my stomach's like, you need to poop right fucking now, Josh. And I was like, I can make it. I'm an adult. And then, so I'm starting to sweat. I'm more white than I usually am. I'm ghost white. And I'm like fidgety. And I noticed the 2 TSA guys start looking at me.
Right.
And I was like, this probably doesn't look good. It probably looks like I'm on drugs.
You have all the demeanor of somebody getting ready to blow something up.
Yeah, blow something up or smuggling drugs for the first time.
Right.
I look like anybody from Locked Up Aboard. I'm just white, and I'm like, this is an easy way to make $5,000.
Let's do it.
Let's put a bunch of heroin in my wiener.
Now, did the TS guys, did they know you work there? You go there often. Do they know you?
It had been a month since I worked. I was off for a month for like medical leave.
Okay.
So like they probably did, but they're probably we haven't seen him in a while.
Just enough time for you to become a Muslim, go overseas, and get
to
active.
convert and then to either become a drug mule or to ruin America's way of life. So I'm white and sweaty, and then about 2 people before I scan in, just my stomach goes nope. And there's shit all over my pants.
So take us to that moment. So when that happens, when it goes, is it just like there's no control? Like it just
it's just like I took a step and the way I moved my leg was just like my body was like, all right,
liquid or solid?
I like soft serve ice cream. We're back to soft serve again.
Okay.
So pretty liquidy, but enough.
Like I just watched a fight clip not too long ago of a guy who got hit in what kind of fighting was it? I can't remember if it was boxing or
was it Muay Thai? Muay people shit their pants all the time in Muay Thai.
That and running. You see those guys?
Oh, extreme marathon running, you for sure shit.
That one with that lady, she's like running, there's like shit just running down her leg.
Yeah, I'm running a 5K. I'll probably shit twice.
Jesus Christ. So you got liquid going.
I got liquid. I wear boxer briefs, so it's all contained.
Is that by design because of the bowel movement?
I'm just in a.
She gets some of those rubber underwear like that.
I'm just in a pool of shame.
Jesus.
So like, it's my turn to scan my badge, and I'm just like, nope. And I just turn around to leave, and the TSA guy goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm gonna go home." And just nervous face.
You don't want to admit.
Yeah, I don't want to admit I shit my pants because it's an employee line. So there's people I work with, there's people I see every day in line with me. Also, I'm an adult. Adults don't get to shit their pants, and everybody's cool with it.
You lose that freedom when you're a baby. You can. It's like look, he shit on himself. It's so cute. When you get over 20ish,
people are like, "Oh, he has a drug problem." So I turn around, the guy's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going home." And I'm just like yelling it and awkward. And he's like, "Nope." And he's like, "I think you got to come with me." And I'm like, "No, I don't." And in my head, it's just like, get to your car. In my head, I'm thinking, like, I'm not even thinking about how I look at this moment. I'm just like, get to your car. And in my head, I'm like, do I have something in my car so it doesn't get on my seats and my seats smell like shit forever?
Right.
And I'm going to have to get my car detailed because I shit my pants and have to drive it in it. So I'm like, hopefully I got
never buy one of Josh's used cars.
Yeah. Hopefully I have something in my trunk I can sit on. And I'm thinking about this and I'm just trying to leave. And I'm just like, basically, no one cares about TSA because they're like rent-a-cops. So I'm just kind of like pushing this guy off and I'm like, I'm leaving.
Right.
Like,
you don't have a gun. What are you going to do?
Yeah. People say white privilege. I was all white privileged out. I was a 40-year-old suburban housewife. I was like, get the fuck out of my face, officer. I got shit to do.
Right.
And he's like, no, you got to come with me. And I was like, no, I don't. And that's when he was like, I think this is my moment.
Right.
And he grabbed me and another guy grabbed me.
Because that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
They're just waiting for that one.
They're waiting to be John McClane. Both of them thought they were going to be.
That's what he said. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Right.
He was like, yippee-ki-yay. He was swinging a lasso. And they bring me into this little like box room. It's probably like 3x3. And they have like a little desk in there so they can pat people down.
Right.
And we go in and they're just like ready to interrogate. They've called the police. There's a police officer in there who couldn't have been happier 2 minutes after what happened. Because they're like, what's going on? And they're like interrogating me. And I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, and I said, we can smell what happened because it reeks in there.
Right.
And he goes,
well, they just think that's the fear.
yeah. And then
we got him because he's so scared. He's
they're like, he's
farting.
sweating out and farting. And I go, I think we can all smell it. And he's like, I just see both their faces drop. And I go, I just had intestinal surgery. I'm crying. I'm like, I just had surgery. I tried to sound dumb. I just had surgery. I just had intestinal surgery and I have diverticulitis and I shit my pants. And both their faces just drop, and the cops lights up. Because he doesn't have to do anything after this point. He's like, cool, don't have to arrest anybody.
All right, I'm out here.
Because he's just there to arrest me. Because like
Right.
TSA can like send for the arrest. They have to have like a real person who went to actual academy do the job. So his face just lights up. He's like, cool, I don't got to do anything. But he knows that these guys...
No compassion, no empathy at all.
I later learned have to give me a pat down. He's like, we have to do a search.
What do you mean? Like
They didn't make me take off my pants, but he's like, we have to give you like a once over. So they wanted me, and then he had to pat me. And I was like, all right.
Just because you came in the room, even though they know what the deal is.
Yeah, they know what the deal is. Because like that could have been that could have been my home run. I shit my pants.
It's a new terrorist tactic.
All right, fine. And it's like, that guy said he shit his pants. He blew up that plane. Not cool. Not cool.
So the shoe bomber, you're now the shit bomber?
Yeah. The brown bomber. So he gave me the pat down. He touched the poop. Not with his bare hand. He had gloves on. But like touched across my butt. And I go, see, that's poop.
It was a solid chunk, or is it?
It was like a mushed against my butt cheeks poop.
See, here's the only place so far in your story where you've dropped the ball. Because once they've done that and they're not understanding, I wouldn't have said any. I wouldn't give any explanation.
Oh, I came up with this great tag. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
I came up with it right after I got in the car. When he was like, I got to give you a pat down. I'm going to say, whatever you got to do to keep the sky safe.
Been classic.
It's my greatest regret. Is when I was in my car, I was like, God damn it. If there was a time machine, I wouldn't go back.
We're going to write that when they do your bio flick.
Yeah.
We're going to write that in as we can embellish.
Yeah,
a
I wouldn't
bit.
go back and save JFK. I wouldn't go back and like save Martin Luther King or kill Hitler. I'd just go back to that day
Let's say that
and
line.
still shit my pants and still get arrested and be like, whatever you got to do to keep the sky safe.
Well, in your defense, when JFK got shot in the head, he probably shit his pants too. That's, I think it's like a normal body function.
Oh, yeah. We all did. It's the great shits of history.
The shitty knoll.
And then he let me go through security, and I went to the restroom and shamefully cleaned myself up and threw a pair of underwear in the trash can of the airport bathroom.
You just passed that problem on to some,
Yeah, I was just like, kind of just like scraped it off, and then like
to some union worker.
Yeah, just screw it in. Part of me wanted to flush it.
Well, see, then
Because
also
I wanted to
your
ruin
odor.
so many people's day. Because I was so sad and worked up. I was like, I should flush this because I know it's going to ruin the toilet. And like at least 4 people are going to have to fix
I
it.
think you did the right move on there because that odor is going to be in there emanating from that garbage.
And just those
container.
metal cans that are like connected to the wall. So those don't move. Cleaned myself up and then went home and called my fiance. And I was like, I'm like, hey, I got arrested.
You're shitting on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, the cop was the only one who kind of had, like, he was just like, after he found out I shit myself, he was just like, I'm sorry, man.
You're half smiling. When
Yeah, he was just like,
because he's told that story now like 700 times.
oh, he's told it more than I have for sure.
Let me tell you about the time this guy shit on himself at the airport.
He probably walked into the office, he's like, you know, on TSA, it's a bunch of fucking idiots. There's this kid, obviously sad and shit himself. I would have just let him go.
Right.
But they thought they were being hero McHerosteins.
So now as you went back to work, you don't work there
I
anymore.
see those guys all the time.
Right. Was it a running joke while you were
Nope.
still there?
I just kept my head down in shame. Every time I went through security, I was just like, hey. Good morning.
That's a
Remember when he touched my poop?
TSA deserves that though.
They do.
They got exactly what they
They're
did.
paid enough.
It's a good shit story.
Thank you.
Now, in the intro, I promised some poop-related facts, and that's what you're going to get next. Not just any poop facts, but facts that pertain to both poop and sex together. This piece of audio is from one of my favorite YouTubers, Dr. Lindsay Doe. She is a sexologist, and she hosts the YouTube channel called Sexplanations. Definitely please give her a sub and check out all of her work. Side note, she is also very, very sexy. She has this little cute mousy look going on that kind of really does it for me. Anyway, this audio is from her video titled Poop and Sex. Listen and try not to get hard or wet as you do. Here we go.
Number 10 on the sex and poop fun fact list, it is possible to orgasm from pooping. Clinically, they're referred to as defecation-induced orgasms, more playfully, poophoria. The pelvic splanchnic nerves that carry sensations to and from the genitals are also connected to the bladder and rectum, meaning the same nerves that influence your penile erections and cervical contractions orchestrate your poops. So maybe there's crossfire. Also, feces moving out of the body strokes erogenous tissues like the prostate and vaginal wall. Number 9, receiving oral sex while pooping is a blumpkin, masturbating while pooping is shasturbation. Number 8, Dr. Sigmund Freud proposed that we develop through 5 psychosexual stages. The first stage as infants is oral, where all our pleasure is derived from putting things in our mouths. Nipples, fingers, our own feet, toys, dog, food, and sand into our mouths. The second stage is anal, and likewise pleasure has a central location, this time the anus. According to Freud, if our psychosexual development is poopy diapers for long durations, we end up anal expulsive, getting pleasure from messes. And if our potty training is too orderly, we end up anal retentive, getting pleasure from tidiness. Number 7, paraphilias are a type of attraction that are beyond para, traditional forms of love or attraction. Philia. There are many different kinds of paraphilias, and as you probably guessed, there's one for sexual arousal via poop. Coprophilia, from the Greek kopros meaning excrement, and philia for the liking and fondness toward it. Pooping on and being pooped on for sexual gratification. That's your hot Carls and your Cleveland Steamers. Number 6, last year I was offered a few $1,000s for my scat caviar. The request was a 5-paragraph proposal that explained I'd use the toilet to quote pee and poo, then exit the bathroom without flushing so the buyer could enter and taste my bodily delight. I responded, your request is very thoughtful and well written. This is not a service I provide. I would suggest reaching out to FetLife members for ideas about how to proceed. They might have additional resources. Respectfully, Lindsay. Number 5, the perineum on a biosex female body is similar in length to the space between your knuckles. Short, meaning reproduction and recreation are only an inch or two away from a literal shithole. Because these two areas are in such close proximity, E. coli, a bacteria found in the digestive system, often makes its way via sex into the urethra and the vulva, causing very painful and annoying urinary tract infections. Number 4, Rick Santorum was one of the candidates for the 2016 presidential election. But if you search for him online, the top result is not his campaign. It's Santorum, the discharge during or after anal sex. Rick believes that same-sex sex, relationships, parenting, and marriage should all be illegal. So sex columnist and educator Dan Savage held a contest back in 2003 to give Santorum a new meaning. The winning entry was the frothy mixture of lube and fecal matter that is sometimes the byproduct of anal sex and is the most widely known reference to Santorum on the internet. Number 3, there are a lot of different causes of pain during intercourse, both physiological and psychological. One of them is poop. The vagina and the rectum are separated by very thin and sensitive walls. If there's stool in the rectum and a hard object in the vagina, the compression can be very painful. Similarly, during menstruation, the full walls of the endometrium can collide with poop in the rectum and can not only cause discomfort, it can block regular bowel movements from happening, as in you're constipated until the lining sheds. Number 2, over 1,000 years before Common Era, ancient Egyptians collected dried crocodile poop and mixed it with fermented dough, or left it as is, and put it in the human vagina. One theory is that it had to do with their god of miscarriage and abortion, who was associated with the crocodile. The second theory is that the croc dung, like many of the other animal versions they tried, was somewhat sticky and worked well to block the passage of sperm. Number 1, this is not sexy by any means, but now you'll know, most vaginal births involve pooping. The muscles used to push during labor push out feces too. So while most of you entered this world through a vagina, most of you did so in tandem with caca. Stay curious.
All right, next up on this poop parade, a classic audio sample of what, in my opinion, is the greatest poop-related news report ever to be broadcast on television. It is from a 1991 Orlando, Florida newscast. It's a then mostly unknown news reporter who would later become a national Fox News anchor, Shepard Smith. And Smith is doing an on-location report about a G.G. Allen concert that happened the night before. For those that don't know or remember G.G. Allen, he was a 90s punk rock singer and was known for his controversial songs and equally controversial live performances. So with that, enjoy.
Newsnight 6 reporter Shepard Smith joins us live outside the club Spacefish on Church Street with this exclusive report.
Michelle, we must warn, what you are about to see and hear is quite graphic, but it's true. Happened at the club Spacefish behind me last night. A band called G.G. Allen and the Murder Junkies performing at a club that prides itself, in its words, on having shows on the cutting edge. People paid $7 to watch a man defecate into his own hand while he was nude. And that is just the beginning. This is the Space Fish Cafe. Tuesday, they say, is a dead night. Monday apparently was not. Mike Brown owns the place.
I would say that you never really know what's going to happen when G.G. Allen performs.
This is G.G. Kevin Allen, arrested when police raided the club. What did he do?
He relieved himself and did it all. I mean, you name it, it was probably happening.
A police report is quite explicit. It says the singer took his own feces, began throwing it at people, and eating it.
He was actually off the stage. He was right down here off the stage. Just stepped off and decided to do it. Most everybody here probably thought it was funny and was, I really don't think people were shocked.
People outside were.
We heard a commotion and we came outside and the guy ran out the door naked and he was throwing chairs and he had used the bathroom on himself and was throwing it on the people as they came out the club.
Butler says strange activity is nothing new here.
I think it's a bunch of well-to-do white kids who come down here and when they let their hair down, they let it down too much. And it caught up with them last night.
Okay, now it's time for the second mini interview of this poop-slathered episode. In this one, I talk with another past guest of the Filter Free America podcast, comedian and podcaster himself, Matt Dooyema. He was the guest on the very recent episode titled Bartending for Cocaine Dealers. Definitely a great episode. If you haven't heard it, get on it. Check that one out. Now, Matt's poop story has to do with drinking, concerts, and pizza delivery. Also, of course, lots of poo too. Here it is. All right. So take me back to the year 2002.
It's a good
year
year.
After Warp Tour.
Warp Tour 2002.
And explain to maybe the three people who don't know what the Warp Tour was. It's still going. It didn't stop now, didn't it?
I think it's still going. I do think it's still going.
All right. Well, tell us what it is.
Well, Warp Tour, at least back then, was a punk rock alternative music festival. I was really big into not pop punk, but like the regular punk, like hardcore. Fucking the Casualties were a big one. If you know
The
who
good
they,
punk is what we call
yeah, you know, we would sit there and make fun of the pop punk kids, but at the same time, we're all moshing to Me First and the Gimme Gimmes and the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. So it's Warped Tour 2002. I lied to my parents, by the way, to be there. I said I was just hanging out at a friend's house all day. Meanwhile, I spent $60 to get VIP passes to Warped Tour.
They wouldn't want you to go? They don't.
They just, like I'm from, so a little bit of backstory. I'm from north of Brainerd, Minnesota. We're talking like mid-central nowhere.
Right.
So I'm like 2.5 hours from the Twin Cities. So they would have freaked out mostly by the distance, especially because I was driving my own little piece of shit 1983 Ford Tempo.
And you are 18, right?
Yes, I'm 18. So. Yep, I'm 18. So they really couldn't do anything about it,
right.
But I was still living under their roof, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So me and my buddies, we're going to Warped Tour. We go in, we have bottled water, but it's not water, it's Everclear.
Oh, okay. That's what you brought in.
Yes.
Gotcha.
We're bringing in Everclear because, of course, we're bringing in Everclear because we're 18-year-old shitheads.
Right.
And we're not, we can't get beer at the fucking festival, but we want to get fucked up and have a good time.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful day. It's one of those it's a super sunny day. We're not wearing any sunscreen because we're 18 and it's never gonna hurt us.
Right.
It's the time of your life. We're drinking Everclear and Crystal Light packets because that's what you did. You have to make it.
Oh, you
taste
dump
good.
it. Oh,
you
yeah,
just dump
yeah.
a bunch of Crystal Light packets in with it, and then if you really need to, you can thin it out with a little bit of water. But we weren't pussies. So we're day drinking, sun. Weeds getting passed around. So of course, it's a concert, and of course you're not going to pass up a joint. You're 18, you're drinking, you're going to live forever. Everything's great. I think I took some pills that I still don't know to this day what they were, but again, you're 18, you just down it with some Everclear. Woo! Fucking No Effects is going on stage next, guys. Fucking A. As you're wearing your Dickies, tattered Dickies shirt that has every band's logo hot iron pressed into it, So we're having a good time. It's Warped Tour. We're drinking, we're smoking weed, we're taking other things. And the concert gets over with a rainstorm, so we're fucking moshing in rain, just having a good day after being in the sun drenched all day. So that actually felt really fucking good.
Right.
And we're fucking famished. And we're a bunch of fucking hicks from the middle of nowhere, north of Brainerd. And a buddy of ours goes, "Oh shit, there's a White Castle open still." And this is back in 2002. So the only White Castle that was around at the time was East Lake Street.
Really?
Yes. Next to what was the only Popeye's chicken at the time as well. So we get there.
They must have exploded after that. 'Cause I got here in... No. I take that back. I moved here in 2001.
Yeah. It was one of the only White Castles in the
Really?
area. There's a few others,
Okay.
but it was one that he knew that was like a late night White Castle.
Oh, okay.
And it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it's 4 white kids from Brainerd, Minnesota, fucked up, drunk on all this other shit, walking into a White Castle on Lake Street.
Right.
The manager...
This is the one next to Kmart, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly. What.
Yeah. The manager just gives us this, "Oh no," look, like, "You need to leave."
Right.
But we're like, "We're just hungry." He's like, "No, you can get food. We'll get you in. We'll get you out.
Right.
But then you're not eating here. You are getting the fuck out, and that's for your own safety."
Right.
So we're like, whatever. And I've never had White Castle before.
Really?
Never had. Again, they don't really have White Castle. They don't have White Castles in Brainerd, Minnesota. And I traveled, but it's like, oh, it's a White Castle. Yeah, but whatever. And you hear all this stuff. There's sliders and cool. So we're just like, whatever. We're broke. We buy a Crave case, get some chicken rings, because that's exactly what you need to put in your system. We're just like, grease. That's what we need so we can drive, none of us sober, all the way 2.5 hours north, and this is at 11 o'clock. And I don't think we got home until it had to be after 3 a.m. But because we're trying to eat the shit, and this is before the days of GPS and all that stuff. So having to figure out how to get back to 169 to get up to Brainerd. So we eat the fucking White Castle, we drink, and then I have to work the whole next day. And I was working my way through to save up money for college. I was a pizza delivery driver in Brainerd, Minnesota, which is one of the saddest things I've ever said in my life, but is 100% true. I worked for a company that no longer exists called Northwest Pizza and Boardwalk Bread and Bagel. So we would deliver...
That was the name of the...
That was the whole thing.
Holy
I know.
Fuck.
Whole mouthful. Decent pizza, though. It was actually good, but it was one of those gourmet pizza places before gourmet pizza was really big.
Okay.
So this is a town that had like Domino's and a Pizza Hut and a few other little local greasy pie chains. They were actually gourmet. They were one of the very first places that ever had like $20 specialty pizzas,
right.
Especially for a small economy of Brainerd, Minnesota. But we were serving a lot of Twin Cities people who would go up and vacation up there, whatever. But it's a Monday shift. I'm like, I can fuck off, smoke a little weed in my car to deal with the hangover. Because I knew even at that age, I knew I was probably going to feeling rough. I'd bought a bunch of Gatorades. I thought I had it all together.
You had a plan.
Of course, when you're 18, you always have a plan. Come on now, Joey. All right. So here's the thing. I'm driving to Brainerd, and I'm feeling good because I live north of Brainerd, 20 miles north. I had to drive 20 miles to then go deliver pizzas for this place.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Made pretty good money, though. All things considered at the time. In 2002 money,
right?
Fucking, I was living it up. That's how I was paying for. But I was broke because the day before we had spent partying, paid for those tickets for the concert, paid for the other things that we were doing, the Crave case, all that, so we're depleted on cash. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to work and I'm going to make this money back. It's not a problem. First delivery of the day. I'm driving my and I need to put a little bit of context. I'm driving a 1983 Ford Tempo, no air conditioning, and this is summer. Roll down windows with a vice grip, where you had to use the vice grip to roll them down. You remember you remember time before automatic windows. You're a man of a certain age. So I'm going there. I have to do a few deliveries, and that was pretty common. I'm feeling fucking good, listening to Eminem in my fucking CD player because, of course, I was. I needed a break from the punk music of the day before. Everything's fucking amazing. It's a beautiful day in Brainerd. Window, I kind of cracked it down. I'm still fucking sweating my balls off. And I get to the coffee shop, and I park right out front. There's a space right in front. where to go, and this is on the main drag in Brainerd, or in downtown Brainerd, Minnesota. And the name of the coffee shop, I'll never forget it, is named Cocoa Moon. And it was definitely the place where like they're like
Cocoa. That's going to be an ironic name at the end of the story.
100%.
Right.
So they're very like, oh yes, it's Cocoa Moon. Right? They're definitely playing light jazz music, and like they had the dim lights, and like they're trying to create an ambiance.
Right.
And I delivered there before, and I as soon as I saw that delivery was on my route, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to make some money. These people always tip like 50% of the bill because they're service industry people. I mean, their bill wasn't that high, but still, I was going to make like $10 on that. And this is $10 in 2002 money, and when you're 18, that's that's pretty good amount of cash, especially for you're going to be doing a couple more deliveries, and I'm getting paid a decent amount. Fucking on top of the world, baby. So I get there, I open the door of my car, and I'm right there, and they can see me getting out of the car. The coffee shop, the baristas can see me. I step out, I take one step out of my car with the pizza in my hand, and I proceed to violently shit myself. And I don't mean like that, like, oh, you farted and lost sort of shit yourself. I'm talking like the elevator from The Shining. Right. It was Dinty Moore stew, back, both legs.
Right.
It went down.
Boxers or briefs?
They were boxers because I was cool.
Okay. Brief would have been
way better.
Situation.
In hindsight, if I go back in time, I'd wear briefs that day.
Right.
And it was so bad, and it was so wet, it went down into my socks and shoes.
There was no warning. There was no gurgling of the stomach.
Nothing.
There was
nothing. I went from fucking you don't want to fuck with Shady, and just shit myself. And I'm just sitting there, and I must have looked like I saw a ghost or something, because they're just looking at me as I'm holding a pizza, just the most still I've ever been in my life. And I was tan, and I must have looked pale. And they just looked at, like, as I walked in, they're like, "Are you okay?" I had to make that decision.
Right.
As I'm sitting there, pants full of shit, I've got 2 pizzas and some sandwiches for this place, and I'm just sitting there going, "How much do I need this job?"
Right.
And you get that deer in the headlights look, but then in my head, I'm like, I'm broke. It was about June, but it was still mid-June, and all of the good jobs in that area for kids around that age were done by about, like, you couldn't get I could have maybe gone and worked at McDonald's or some shit, but like that was a good job. I was getting paid, and I also wasn't getting taxed as a delivery driver. I was technically a cook on the books.
Oh, nice.
So I was making a gang of cash. So I'm like, well, if you're gonna shit yourself at a place where they can't smell it.
Right.
Because I'm going into a coffee shop that had the fresh ground espresso and coffee, and I even at 18 had them.
Well, not to brag, but I'm pretty sure some of my shits could overpower the aroma of coffee.
I see how it is, Joey.
I'm just saying.
Maybe it was my own hubris of thinking it didn't smell. I don't know, but I'm like, I still need to make this paper.
Right.
So I walk in very slowly. Because, you're just like, I can feel it every step, the squish in my socks.
No, wait, is there nothing visible on the outside?
No,
of this
it was because I was wearing tight black jeans.
Okay, nice.
So, and I'm already sweaty because there's no air conditioning. And, they're just like, and I'm walking into a dimly lit coffee shop, even though it was midday.
Right.
Because they had the tint on the windows because they're trying to set the mood.
Right.
So I get there, they pay, and they give me a very generous tip. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just pulled a muscle." I didn't lie. I was like, "I was at Warped Tour yesterday," and they're like, "That's so cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I pulled a muscle in the mosh pit. Where's your bathroom?"
Right.
And their bathroom was another. So the counter where they were at is right at the door.
Okay.
Like you go in the door, and then boom, you're right there. That's where you pay because it's just easy in and out or whatever. Their bathroom was 20 feet in the back, and you had to go through another hallway and then get there.
Right.
So then I have to fucking penguin walk through this coffee shop, claiming that I have an injury and that everything just seems really interesting. You know, like, oh, I like this song. Yeah. Fucking like Enya or some fucking bullshit. You know, nothing, you know, soft listening. Easy.
Enya is the shitting on yourself of music.
It is the shitting on yourself of music. That is 100%. Like, oh, that's cool. You're holding hands. What a nice couple. What are you drinking? Mocha, huh? Like, and I'm just trying to, you're trying to play it natural, but of course, like in hindsight, I was probably the most awkward motherfucker. But they're just like a weird delivery driver. They're just happy with their pizza. They really probably weren't paying me any mind. So I get thank fucking God, it was one of those bathrooms that's an individual stall. So it wasn't like I had to I could lock the door. And then I get to see I could feel it, but I get to see the damage, and it is without a doubt the most liquidy. It looked like.
Are we talking a cup, a pint, a quart?
I would say between a pint and a quart, because again,
wow,
I was drinking Everclear. And then proceeded to put part of a crave case and a bunch of chicken rings and mozzarella sticks on top of that.
So what came out of you was alcohol and liquefied fat, burgers and rings.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there.
I can smell White Castle right now.
Yeah.
It's
it was. What are you craving? That should be a commercial for them.
They should give you a free pair of pants with every cave case. That's what that should
right?
be.
Should come with it. It should come with like a
it's like a suitcase that looks like one. There should be a pair of pants and new drawers in it.
They should do a cross promotion with Depends.
Right.
For real though,
that's a really good idea.
Right? And so again, I had never eaten White Castle before.
Right.
But I had heard legend, and I'm just like, I threw caution into the wind, like, it's not going to be that bad. It was worse. Like, it just all came out at once.
Color. What was the color?
It was completely, and it went down both pant legs.
You said completely what? What color?
Completely wet. There was.
No, I said what color was it?
It kind of looked like a pudding pop brown.
Oh, okay.
Like it was just that, but it had that shine of a pudding pop too. If that makes any sense to you. And there's little chunks of stuff in it, but it wasn't like I wasn't eating well because I'm fucking 18, and you don't eat well when you're 18.
The little onions were
I think that was probably it. And so I throw away my underwear and socks immediately because there was no saving it.
Right.
They were white. And in fact, they were white Joe boxers, so that should timestamp it a little bit. And they were Hanes white fucking tube socks.
Right.
So I sat, which it had to be at least 20 minutes in this bathroom, just giving myself a bath in the sink. It's like someone knocked, and I'm like, I'll be down in a minute, and like trying to wash the back of my jeans because I'm like, I still have 3 pizzas in the car.
Jesus.
Yeah, and this predates cell phones, by the way. Like when delivery drivers didn't have cell phones,
right?
And we just knew the town,
right?
So I just, I don't know. I don't know what's rushing through my head again. That's like, how much do I need this job? How much do I need this job? And then I'm like, and you're just looking down and like you just shit yourself. But it was one of those moments in life where you just realize the humility, and it was really good to happen at 18. Like that's when you're like,
that might have set up the rest of your life.
Yeah, life's
kind of tragedy.
Yeah,
forever alters a young man.
Kind of does,
right?
So I throw my and I felt so bad because I know as good of a job as I did cleaning up, there had to have been like splurts and stuff around because I'm trying to wash and do the flap dry, like maybe we're wringing out. So my pants I'm walking out of this bathroom, granted, more comfortable,
right?
Because I don't have this shit on me anymore.
But wet jeans,
wet completely.
It's the worst way to wear jeans.
Completely, and these are like Lee Dungaree, all black tight. Because the thing for work is we couldn't wear baggy jeans, and that was in the 2000s. That was a big deal, especially the early 2000s. But yeah. So I walk out of there, and I'm like soaked, and even my shirt got kind of wet because I'm sitting there trying to clean it off. And and they left me a really nice tip. I think it was over $10.
Right.
And I just literally walk back up to the counter, I throw it in the jar, and walk out. and continued to deliver pizzas for the rest of the day.
They didn't call the
no
place of business or anything?
No, they were cool.
Okay.
Coco Moon, shout out to you for not getting me fired for leaving my shitty underpants in your bathroom. Yeah, I mean it was fun, and actually, you know, like, and that was the one day I was ever so happy that I didn't have air conditioning in my car, because I was able to dry out within like 5 or 6 deliveries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good shit story.
So, has this episode disgusted you yet? Are you still listening? I hope so, because it will get worse. Need proof? Okay, here we go. Now, no poop-themed podcast could ever be complete without at least mentioning the most famous episode of the television show Hoarders. In that episode, the hoarder intervention team, I guess, attempts to help a woman whose hoarding condition is poop-related. Of course, listening to a whole TV segment would have been a little boring on an audio podcast. So what I did here was simply help you re-experience the episode if you've heard it before, or experience it for the first time by creating a medley of some of the very best quotes from that episode, all strung together. Here it is.
My mother used to put poop in a jug. Actually, by the time you put it in there, it's actually a dirty water jug is what that is.
I want to say that the reason that Shanna didn't get rid of all those bottles is because she's lazy. I hope it's not sentimental to her.
There's still some space in the toilet, but I don't want it to overflow. So I've been using a bucket. When the bucket is full of pee and poop, it's really hard to lift it. So I just put it in a smaller bucket and I take it outside and empty it. My neighbors could view it as being odd that I dumped the bucket out in the front yard. No neighbors have said anything to me about it either, though. This small blue bucket my mother used before she died.
Is that poop all over the bucket?
Yeah, it's poop.
So do you wash your hands? Like you're going to go eat soup in a minute. Are you going to wash your hands for that, or you just don't worry about it?
No, actually I don't. Okay, now this is not the worst hoard you've ever cleared out.
She's eating 2 feet from all the poop and urine.
Do you think I meet the definition of a hoarder?
The poop, man. You got a ton of poop in this house. Is that brand new information to you? To think that the feces and urine has something to do with the smell?
I guess so, because I thought it was due to the mold and dust.
I mean, some people would argue, how do you not know that feces in the house is bad?
But wait, I don't smell it anymore.
It's an extremely dangerous house. The feces, the mold, and bloody tampons just laying on the floor.
All right, now it is time to close this poop-themed episode with my second of 2 poop-related stories. And this one is definitely epic. At least it's epic from my point of view, because I experienced it. So you may not have the same feeling, but it's definitely one that is forever etched in my memory. This poop-related incident was a classic sharding story from circa 2004. I had ate a leftover half of a Chipotle burrito. If you're curious what the burrito contained, it was steak and carnitas, double meat, brown rice, black beans, fajita veggies, sour cream, cheese, corn salsa, and green salsa, all in one beautiful burrito. Delicioso. Now, before I proceed, I must admit some guilt. I have been eating Chipotle since I first discovered the chain when I moved to the Twin Cities back in 2001. And I, like many others, love their food in spite of the fact that we sometimes have an adverse gastro reaction to it. In layman's terms, it sometimes gives me the water poops. I like to call it the fountain poops. I call it that because when I'm suffering from it, and I'm blasting the inside walls of whatever toilet I happen to be violating at the time, I like to pretend that my butthole is the fountain at the Bellagio Casino. You know, but with brown water and less theatrical lighting. The point is, I knowingly look shark danger in the eye every time I lift the Chipotle burrito to my mouth. Now, knowing all that, let's continue. As I mentioned, I consumed the day-old half burrito a few hours earlier in the day, but now I find myself hanging out with some friends at one of their homes in North Minneapolis. Here's a critical piece of information. I was the only white person in the house. If you're confused as to why that is important to know, please be patient and let the story be told. We are all sitting in the living room area, smoking blunts of better than average weed and joking and laughing. Then I felt the first stomach bubbles begin to form inside me. As you all are aware, that is the universal warning that belly fuckery is afoot. And as I continued to sit there, I felt the pressure of a fart starting to build. With that, concern now started to wash over me. I remembered the burrito, and the warning sirens started to sound in my head because I know the potential disaster I was facing. But I'm a risk taker. So much so that I stupidly gambled that I could silently let out a little fart pressure and relieve the bubble guts building up. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking right now, why don't you just go to your friend's bathroom and take a shit? If you're thinking that, no, you are a monster. You are a monster because nobody wants you pooping in their bathroom. Taking a piss is fine, but a shit is personal. Taking a shit in another man's home is second only to fucking his wife. It's very disrespectful. Save your poops for your home or a public restroom or an alley. Don't be that monster. Anyway, so what I did was attempt to bleed off a little bit of the pressure that I had forming. Huge mistake. The very moment I relaxed the clench of my anal sphincter muscles, I felt the warm oozing of liquid poo begin to flow out of me and into my shorts. Immediately, I reclenched my butthole to stop the flow, but with the damage already done, I then realized the true folly of my decision. Now, here's where the only white guy in a room full of black dudes comes into play. Everybody likes to bust balls and laugh and joke with their friends, especially when your friends do something embarrassing. That's true across every racial demographic. But nobody takes as much pleasure and does it with as much enthusiasm as black dudes. Black dudes make fun of you with the passion and precision of a master painter and the lethality of a special forces sniper. The very last thing you ever want to do is give them ammunition to work with. In this context, that means you do not want to let a room full of black dudes know that you just shit on yourself. You will never live that down. You will be mocked and given nicknames that will cling to you until the day that you die. Oh, look, here comes that shitty booty white boy, or hey, what's up, shit shady? The point is, you will be marked for life. So I had to do something. I jumped up and headed to the bathroom. Once there, I broke the no pooping in other people's homes rule and cleared my bowels. As I did that, I slipped off my shorts and boxers. I then balled up the shitty boxers and set them aside. Luckily for me, it was just a small amount of shit fluid, so it didn't soak more than a few drops into my shorts that I was wearing. I finished my poop and then proceeded to use damp toilet paper to clean the liquid poo that had coated the inner crack of my ass. With that done, I then started to relax a little bit. But then I remembered my shitty boxers. Now, don't ask me why I didn't just rinse them out in the sink. Looking back, I'm honestly not even sure. I can only assume that the trauma of the incident was interfering with my ability to think rationally. My thinking was simply hide the evidence. And I was lucky because as I scanned the room looking for ideas, I noticed that the bathroom had a window. My go-to move was to toss my shitty boxers out of the window and into the backyard of the thankfully boarded up home next door. Yes, if you're wondering, North Minneapolis has lots of boarded up crack houses. But with that move, the crisis of potential embarrassment was averted. I put my shorts on, I washed my hands, and return to the weed smoking with my friends. But just so you know, if you ever find yourself at the corner of North 4th Street and 24th Avenue North in North Minneapolis, know that somewhere my shitty boxers are very close by.